Morning, everyone. A little rushed. I had a lot of things to do today already. I'm even sweating from running around so much. It's snowing where I am, yet I'm hot. I'm very, very warm. So, like I say, you might see some drips coming down off the side of my head here. Okay, hello everyone. Today is, well, I guess it's March 26th. It is March 26th, 2018. I'm Roy Potter. This is the live stream version of the Potter Expositor. I want to welcome you. Thank you for coming. Sorry as I have to ignore you just a little bit to make sure everything here is working the way it's supposed to. It looks like it is. Looks like the sound is okay. I'm going to try to keep this modulation from getting so scratchy. This microphone, I like it, but you know, it has this high modulation problem, which I might have to trade it in for another one, but we'll see. Anyway, you don't need to know all the details. Are you keeping track of what's going on around the nation and the world right now? Well, we're going to do a little bit of that right now because this is getting outrageous. Who the hell is running this country? And people are going to say, oh my gosh, here he goes again. Let me tell you something. If you believe in the book of Revelations, it says that the beast made war with the saints and prevailed. That's not good news, but it's honest. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of good stuff right now. Now, in the end, we win. You know, President Trump said Kofefi, remember that, which means in the end we win. And according to the biblical scriptures, we win. But there are things going on right now that we've really got to ask ourselves a question. Now, my Bible's really beat up. I use this one. I've had this Bible here. I mean, I've lost the cover to it, but it's my working one. This thing is, holy mackerel. I'll bet you this Bible I got probably in the, I probably got it in high school. So this thing is, you know, probably 45 years old. But it's marked up. I use it a lot. That should show you, I really do this stuff. And of course I use the Hebrew version as well when I have a question, which is kind of what we talked about the other day when we talked about smooth things and that kind of stuff. Oh, maybe I didn't do that here. I did that on Periscope. We're going to do that here on YouTube today. I did a Periscope yesterday, and I was planning on doing a YouTube live, but I just couldn't get around to it. And this morning it was even rushed. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it, but I just said, out of heck, I just put everything else on hold because I think this is important. Things are just out of control. Totally out of control. Yes, God is in control, but you know what? We're not aligning ourselves properly. It's obvious. You know, this division that I've talked about is really taking place, and it's getting serious, more serious by the day. Okay, and you don't even have to be scriptural to talk about that. You can see it just in watching the events as they unfold in the world. And hope, you know, that this thing is going to end okay. Talk about chaos. Well, I'm going to cover the things I covered in the Periscope yesterday first because I think, even though I usually like to do this kind of thing at the end, I want to catch everybody up on this so that we can start on that. You notice that I named this, got to look at it, Nerve Agent, Lies, and War. Gee, I wonder what I'm going to talk about there, right? Do nations need to abide by evidence, by proof, before they start? You can accuse somebody of something, but then you start taking actions that amount to the prelude to war on hearsay and rumor and lies? Well, are the elites teaching us that nations really are irresponsible? Which they have been in the past. But is their solution going to be better? No. No, it'll be worse. But they're driving us to this, and even Trump can't stop it. No, only God can, and he's not going to either. Well, let me read you something. Okay, yesterday, and I'm sorry, I had a friend yesterday call me up, and this I talked about on Periscope, and he said, Roy, and this is kind of humbling for me. It really is. By the way, can somebody let me know if the sound is okay? Because I've really backed up the mic here. I want to make sure that I'm not, when I yell and stuff, it's not going to overmodulate. Just let me know if it's okay. All right, I pushed it away from me. It might be too far away. I don't know. All right. So this friend called me up and he says, Roy, whether you want to admit it or not, thank you, Monique. I appreciate that, and I'll bet you that's my daughter telling me it's okay. She is. Yeah, she's great. Golly, I tell you, I got some of the best kids in the world. You just can't believe it. It humbles me every day. Oh, I have a couple of problem children, yeah, but most of them are just unbelievable. I mean, for what they've been through, they're just amazing. I want you all to know that, and I know some of you are listening. Okay, back on this friend. So what he tells me is all these people, your viewership on YouTube is probably a lot bigger than you realize because they're monkeying with your numbers. Well, I just get out and I talk. I just want people to know. What I say, if it's of worth, fine. If it isn't, go away. I do have the chat room open this morning, so the trolls are going to be there because they want to be able to think they can control the situation. And maybe in the chat room they will. But don't pay attention to them, okay? Because they don't know anything anyway. That's what I found out. They're just there to stir up crap. Man, I get sidetracked. Starting to be like Lionel. I'm listening to Lionel too much. He veers and he pulls all these things in. He goes on and on and on and on. I didn't get it from him, but I think I'm starting to have some of the same characteristics there as it goes. So anyway, his friend says, look, all these people are really looking to you to kind of be a steady anchor. Try to hold it together. Don't lose it so often. And he's right. He really is right. And yet, in today's world, if you don't have passion, if you don't really communicate with every possible fiber of your being, people don't take you seriously. And I learned that going from the Army as an MP duty officer, which I've talked about, to a police officer. People out on in the MP officer, he's like general, commanding general on the post. You say boo and everybody moves, right? Out here, I had to start using 4-letter words on criminals because they didn't think I was serious. But people, I mean, with all the things in entertainment, in the media, the talking head sitting there, just blah 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 blah. It doesn't fire anybody up. It's designed to keep you under, hypnosis almost. It's almost neuro-linguistic programming. I could do that if I tried, if I really tried, but I can't. So what am I saying? I want my friend to know that I take him seriously. And I would like to do what he asked me to do, and I'll try to be a little better. But at the same time, this is getting outrageously it's out of control by design. And so anyway, I better not jump too far around here. So, number one, the Geneva is out. That's the first thing I said yesterday in my Periscope, and I want to say it today. Now, he was the attorney. He and his wife were going to come and start helping Trump on this, on all these problems he's having. And de Geneva would have been a dynamite attorney. He's not going to take the job. Most of you know that now. And they're citing a problem with his wife, who may have had she represented one of Trump's attorneys, and there might be a conflict of interest, and there's a thing about the Russians there. I don't want to get into a lot of detail on it. But the one that really got me, and I don't know that it's true, it wouldn't surprise me, but that Trump didn't feel that the chemistry between them was good. Now, that's a quote out of the New York Times. I don't know if that's a quote from Trump. Chemistry? I don't care if the guy next to me in a foxhole is my worst enemy, as long, it's the old thing that the Muslims say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If I'm getting shot at out here and this guy can fire a weapon and can protect my flank, man, I'm going to use him. What in the world is going on here? Very disappointing. But you know, okay, Trump's got it under control. Right, right. This is bad. Muller's coming after him on an obstruction of justice charge, and they're going to drag this thing out. He's in no hurry. He is in no hurry. The longer they can drag this out, the better. The midterms are coming up. You know, I'm gonna get this Republican insider I know on the air. We've already talked about it to some extent. I'm gonna get him on the air. You know, he's a good balance to me. He doesn't go quite as far to the edge as I do. He's a little more reasonable. But you need to hear what he has to say. And so I'm going to do that. We're talking about it. And he sees the same things I do. He just thinks that it's possibly salvageable. Well, not when Trump is throwing people like Geneva away. Yeah, he got rid of McMaster, but then we got to talk about this thing with Colonel Sanders. I hate to be disrespectful, but I don't like Bolton. I never have, never will. All right. Well, I'm throwing a lot of crap out here. I'm sorry. You can tell I'm worked up this morning. I can be a steady anchor, but I'm not going to sit here and be blind either and tell you lies and smooth things. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Which goes back to yesterday. I was watching Lionel Nation. Man, he's a great guy. You know, I didn't realize it. I finally got curious, and I went back and I looked at some of his other older presentations, and you know, he was kind of a pretty bulky guy, not fat, but he was pretty stout. And you look at him now, you go, what happened? I wish I was friends enough with him to talk to him about that. I almost didn't recognize him in these older presentations that he made, these older programs. I had to use the voice. The voice is what really told me who it was, right? Well, anyway, so yesterday he's giving this presentation, and this is what he says. And this is the name of his video yesterday, his live stream video. Listen to this. The bravest thing you can ever do is want to know the truth. Let me repeat that. The bravest thing you can ever do is want to know the truth. Put aside your normalcy bias, right? Your prejudices, right? Ask the questions that the answers aren't convenient for you, right? The other brave thing to do is to tell the truth when nobody else will. To stand for principle when you're the only one who will. Now, I'm not patting myself on the back here. I just realized that's a principle because you've heard me say it before. Well, that's in great lack these days. It's very rare. Or somebody has an agenda. Well, we all have an agenda of one sort or another, but it depends upon what our motivations are. And I am still under the weather, so I'm drinking lemon essential oil with honey, just in case you wanted to know, okay? Good combination. So in that regard of telling the truth and of being brave to want to know the truth, because you got to know the truth before you can tell it. And truth isn't relative, okay? Not in the sense that, what you do unto others, you do unto yourself. That's pretty basic, okay? And that's really all we really need to look at. We really don't have to get into a whole lot of philosophical discussions of, Shakespeare and, all these different, philosophers and all that. Just a basic thing. It comes down to what you do to others. You would want to be the same as you do to yourself if you're decent. Do unto others as you would want done to you. If you use that as your basics, for judgment, then you're not going to be too far off in most circumstances. Well, at any rate, the problem is we live in an age of deceit, and it's pervasive everywhere. Now, not that it hasn't existed in the past, because I could talk about things in the Bible itself that are partially responsible for the situation we're in today, because the Bible apparently appears to teach it. And I wasn't going to talk about this today, but I might have to because of what the leader of the march in D.C. said about it. Not just the gun thing. There are some other things that he said, and this is just incredible to me and what I see happening. But anyway, back on telling the truth. So I'd like to read something out of Isaiah, and I've done this before. This is the age of deceit. You can't believe anything you see or hear. Nothing. They even have these vocal things now where they can, like me, they've got my voice on here. All they need is like a half hour of me talking, and then they can make voice stamps that make it sound like me. I could say, I've killed 10,000 polar bears and have my video image there saying it. So you can't even trust that anymore. So you have to go by other things to understand what the truth is. It's not easy, but you have to make the effort. You can't just sit there and be a sponge and soak it all in. So this is what Isaiah says. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to explain a couple things. This is Isaiah chapter 30, and people are saying, no, not the scriptures. Look, man, you got to understand something here. This is how life is. And it shows you that this has been a problem with us for thousands of years. Not to mention that this is also a prophecy. But anyway, when I tell you the rest about something I've kind of avoided, I've kind of mentioned it kind of in a side way sometimes, but when I tell you what's in here and why so many really bad things are happening about this whole mother-father, the government's wanting to stop the mother-father thing and the man-woman and the girl-boy and, the transgenderism and all that, it came from this, from a garbled, deceitful interpretation of what the scripture actually says. It came from there. It came from the mouth of Jesus himself, according to this. So I'm not here to just say, every word in this is infallible. Oh, no. Not in this translation. Not even in the Hebrew, unless you understand what's going on there. But anyway, I keep diverging. Okay, I'll settle down. Let me read this to you. All right? Listen to this. This is Isaiah chapter 30, verses 9 through 11. That this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Remember, we're supposed to have that law in our hearts and minds. That's kind of one of the fruits of whether or not we're decent, whether we're good or bad. Which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy deceits. Get you out of the way. Turn aside out of the path. Cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Holy mackerel. I think that speaks for itself, but I want to address the word smooth, because that's the translation in the King James Version. Let me read that one more time, just that part. Prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things. If you get Strong's Concordance out and you look at the Hebrew in that, and also the Gesenius, which I've talked about before, these Hebrew English lexicons, you find out that that word for smooth is actually Kalakh in Hebrew. It means flattery. Flattery. It means a field with no ruts, smooth. You could put blinders on, you wouldn't even have to hardly think, you could just walk and not fall. Not bumpy. The root word is Kalakh, and it also means flattery or smooth. Why did that word get used? We're seeing it today. We saw it in D.C. here this weekend with these kids who have been taught these incorrect principles by a corrupt mindset that has infiltrated our society from the very top through the very bottom, through its width and its depth. Even Comey said, remember, that they have a right to look into your mind to see what you're thinking and to change it. Holder, we will brainwash you. Not that there's anything wrong with a clean brain, but that's not what they mean. So what does this mean? Well, it means, and I said this in the video yesterday in my Periscope, I said, this is evident in the Mormon Church. This is evident in many sects of Christianity. It's evident in Islam. It's evident in any organized religion in particular. I don't care which one it is. And what it is this. And the Mormons actually have said this, okay? You can go back and look this up, you Mormons who don't think this is true. They even said this in a conference once. I can't remember who it was, but you Google it and find out. I don't need to do that because I remember it. Said, you don't need to think. The leaders have done the thinking. The thinking has been done. You just need to do what we tell you to do. Sound familiar? Is there something out there or somebody out there that's telling you that, you know, they've got it all figured out and that if you don't go along with it, there's something wrong with you? Does that sound familiar? Flattery, you've got information that nobody else has. Never mind, you might not know what it means, but you've got the information. You're special. You don't need to go outside and consider anything else. Just follow what we're telling you to look at. You're in this field that's smooth, no ruts. You've got your blinders on. You're just looking at what we're telling you to look at, and you see nothing else. Everything's fine. Everything's dandy. Everything's happening the way it's supposed to. Don't look away. You just keep those blinders on. You don't have to look down. You don't have to look up. You could even close your eyes. And just what we're telling you is all you need to know. You're not going to fall because it's smooth for you. We're not going to tell you anything that's really going to shake you up. You can apply that to a lot of things across the board. The government, the MSM, or even supposed intelligence sources. Do you see? Did I make that clear? I don't know if I did or not. Deceit. You know, I was on BP Earthwatch's program, redpillradiolive.com. It's been over a week ago now, almost 2 weeks ago. And I quoted the same scripture, and he talked about that the word is actually delusion. The word for deceit is actually delusion. And in Hebrew, it's mahalalath. And, yeah, it basically means delusion. And there's another word that's used for delusion, mirma, which means a fraud, a craft, or a treachery. Kind of similar, but delusion is even more expansive because in the New Testament it says, because of this problem with the people wanting lies and believing a lie and all that, God says, okay, I will send you strong delusion that you believe a lie because that's what you want. That's your mindset. That's what you're praying for. That's what you live for. So you're going to get it. And have we got it? Yes, we do. Morning preaching, but it has to do with everything I'm going to say today. And I have to bring it up. All right. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here is the first thing. I find out this morning, looking at it, it's on Drudge Report. Why would this not surprise anybody? Omar Mateen, you remember the Pulse nightclub shooting? Do you remember that? Well, guess, you know his father, Sadiq, I think that's how you say his name, Sadiq Mateen. Did you see that in Drudge Report this morning? Lo and behold, this guy was an FBI informant from 2005 to 2016. This keeps coming up. Really? An FBI. This was brought up by the defense by Noor Salman's attorney. That's Omar Mateen's wife, girlfriend. I guess it's his wife. In her trial, whatever they're doing to her, trying to implicate her in this thing. FBI informant, the father, the one that got up there. Remember, he was sitting behind Clinton during her speech. He's an FBI informant from 2005 to 2016. FBI always shows up in these things, always, and it's not just from the investigative side, it's the perpetrators. And yet it continues to exist. And you're not going to believe that this government isn't getting more corrupt by the day, no matter what you see and what you're told is happening. And I'm going to show you some more about that today. Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to bring up. Now, the other thing that really disturbed me. How hard is it for you to find out that Assad was not the one who gassed his people? How hard was it for you to figure that out? Oh, we don't have all the intelligence information. No, all I got to do is use logic and reason along with the information that's out there. That's why I named this video Nerve Agents, Lies, and War. Boy, this nerve agent thing is, chemical agents and all that, this is really a handy thing because it's really hard to prove. Well, not really. Not if you get on the ground and you do the tests, which were done. Assad didn't, gas his people in any time. Yet we fired our missiles into Syria. On what provocation? What is this red line that's so important? I'm sorry, but this is a problem. And now we are having it again. Trump administration expelled Russian diplomats today. Maybe it was yesterday, but it's ongoing. They have to leave like within 2 weeks or something like that. Over this claim by the British government, MI6, who helped to spy on him through Steele, and our IC put them up to it. We already know about this, the Five Eyes program. This same MI6 and the British intelligence community is blaming Russia for poisoning this double, triple agent, whatever, Sergei Skripal, for poisoning him with nerve agent. Novichok is the agent. Rumor, innuendo, false accusations, no proof, wouldn't stand up in a court of law. And it's by the same group that helped to spy on Trump. And he's going to believe these assholes? Did his State Department, his new State Department, do this under Pompeo without consulting him? Or did he make the decision? Yes, I'm coming down hard because this is setting the world up for the destruction of billions, the murder of billions of people. Yes, I'm upset about it. So we're going to believe MI6. With all that's out there, it can't be that hard for Trump to find out that these are lies. It's who you choose to believe. Why? Why? I could cogitate on that. I could guess. I'm not going to ask why. I'm just going to say it's happening because that's easy to prove. It is happening. So we're now expelling Russian diplomats, kind of like Obama did over the accusations of Russian meddling in the election. Is Trump trying to look tough? To the wrong people as far as I'm concerned at this point. I watched Judge Janine's replay of Ann Coulter being on her show last night. I was just kind of curious. I've had some problems with Ann Coulter. When Fukushima happened, she goes, oh, yeah, radiation, it's good for you. No, it isn't. Go over there and spend a little time, man. and sometimes has a problem. But I have to agree with her on all this other stuff that she's talking about now, and especially, she didn't talk about this, but she'd probably want to be rough on the Russians, actually. But my point is that these lies and rumors and innuendos to try to get us off the subject, whatever it is it the Stormy Daniels? I wasn't even going to bring up Stormy Daniels, but was this all done to deflect from the Stormy Daniels thing? Or was the Stormy Daniels thing used to deflect all this other stuff? Who the hell knows anymore? Deceits, lies. And the people, just feed us. We're not going to look. We're not going to figure it out. We're not even going to try to understand what's happening. That's where we are. They're going to take us to war, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to kill millions, if not billions of people. Didn't I say that? And I don't think, anything that Trump can do is going to stop it. Or is he submitting to it? I know people don't want to hear that. But you tell me what it means. Yes, I'm livid about it. When Trump was running, what did he say? He wanted to normalize relations with Russia. Not that Russia doesn't have problems, but do we have problems maybe? Are we the world aggressors in the military? People don't want to hear that, but it's true. If you don't want to admit it to yourself, again, you're only looking at what they're telling you to look at, to believe. It's serious. A lot of people say, well, this is just political show. You start kicking diplomats out of your country, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that's not just for show. That's where it starts to get serious. Oh, well, Trump has made these agreements with Putin on the side. He's just putting it on for him. They've made these agreements. Really? You're going to risk the life of your loved ones over that? You want to do that? You want to play Russian roulette? Have at it. I'm telling you, there's a problem here. My friend says, please, Roy, be a steady anchor for them. They need to have reassurances. Then I'll be doing what Isaiah said that they would do in the last days. Prophesy to them deceits and things easy to understand and smooth things. I can't do that. I can't do that. So, what's going on here? I don't pretend to know the reason, but I can look at the overall picture and I'm saying this is not what we asked for. We're not going down the right road. Where are the arrests? Okay. That's probably not exactly how I wanted to proceed this morning, but that's just what I had to do. There's just no way for me to gloss over these things and to just accept it and say that, it's under control by the master chess player. I'm going to diverge here for just a minute because I think I need to. I talk a lot about men-women relationships and how important they are and that they were designed for our happiness and our joy, even in the image of God. And a lot of people get all frustrated with that, especially Christians. And I've mentioned this a couple of times in the past. In the New Testament, there's nothing like this in the Old Testament. Nothing. The closest thing there is to it is when Eve is created out of the rib of Adam, which is actually an allegory for something entirely different. But that's the closest you get to any kind of androgyny in the Old Testament. And it's really not that. It's really not that. But I'm not going to go into that here. I want to run to the New Testament. Because there, There's a story, and I've talked about it before, where these guys come up to Jesus. They're Sadducees who don't believe in an afterlife or resurrection or any of that. And they say to him, hey, there's this lady, and, she was married to this guy, and he died, and then she married this guy, and he died, and then she married this other guy, and he died. And they go through 7 times that. In the resurrection, whose wife will she be? Do you remember that story? And Jesus' answer, as recorded in the New Testament, is, whoa, you err, you greatly err, because you don't understand the Scriptures. For in the next world they neither marry nor are given in marriage. They are neither male nor female. Look no further, ladies and gentlemen, than that interpretation of that Scripture for the transcendentalism that the Luciferians picked up. And they are going to start even more on that. The LGBTQ, all of that. The destruction of the male-female relationship. Transhumanism. Chips becoming part human, part computer, part machine. That scripture is in direct violation of the Torah. So did Jesus actually say that? Why is it being used now? They're going to turn that, they're using that scripture on you. I remember hearing this when I was growing up, and I was going, wow, then what's going on here? Oh, sex, sex is bad. It's the original sin. Oh, it's terrible. There's a writer, and he's a little probably risque. I'll have to admit that. Geez, if I can find his information here. I had it written down. I guess I left it downstairs. His name is Henry Muller, I believe. And he said something that I actually believe in. And it is that, lots of people say that sex is obscene. No. War is obscene. Now, Miller had some other risque problems, but that statement is right. But do you see? Why did Satan attack the man-woman relationship right out the gate? Right out the gate, that's what he attacked. Would Jesus have done that in the New Testament? I could tell you what that's about, and I'll give you a hint. Okay, just a little hint. He's addressing a historical event that occurred under the Maccabees. That's what he's actually talking about. Because these Sadducees are actually Herodians who don't believe anything. And Herodians were Edomite Arabs. And those who were following the Edomite Arabs instead of the truth. So he just, part of his answer, if in fact he actually said that, oh boy, that's a blasphemy, that's a sacrilege. He's addressing their own ignorance. Because if you get what you believe in, you get what you stand for, you are rewarded according to your heart's desires, whether they be good or bad. And Jesus said, I would that you would have life and that more abundantly. In other words, you're not even going to have what you have now, you're going to have more. I'm not going to take anything away from you. But these people, he said they're not going to have male and female. They don't deserve it. I'm just going to leave it at that. Or you can take it from and ask yourself why all your kids are having all these problems and society's breaking down because they've looked at this male-female. First it was denigrated, right? It was made to be dirty, nasty. And why do I spend so much time on this? Because it's the foundation of what we are. It is what we were created to be. Male and female, with all of the things involved in that. But it's been perverted. We even teach it in our institutions now. And you saw those kids. What did the leader of this group out there in Washington, D.C. say? Oh, yeah, transgenders, they're good. We need more of them. Did you hear him say that? Who's telling them this stuff? The same people that are kicking the Russians out for something that they can't prove happened in Britain, but they can prove that same MI6 and intelligence community is trying to get rid of Trump. Who's out there helping Trump? Why does he keep having to push away people that can't help him, like Geneva? Why? Why do the people that can turn this around get thrown out? Oh yeah, McMaster was thrown out. Sure, Bannon, I know, Hope Hicks, Dina Powell, I know. There have been lots of people that have been, I guess, fired in the State Department, we think. I don't think anybody actually has any hardcore evidence of that, just somebody's word. A lot of Trump's administration hasn't been filled with people yet because he can't get their security clearances, which are run, of course, by the State Department and the CIA and the Pentagon, National Security Council, etc. Yeah, they're stopping him there. Yeah, and other things. And yet, we don't see him gathering around him anybody that can really help him accomplish this. Is it because there isn't anybody? This friend of mine in California, this is why I want to get him on. He says, yeah, well, Giuliani could have been a good one, and he wouldn't help. Chris Christie would have been great, but he didn't help. They all just kind of went away. Nobody's willing to help Trump. Well, then you got to ask yourself why. Now, Trump can't do it alone, and he needs help. If, in fact, he's sincere, I have to have that caveat. If, in fact, he's sincere, he needs someone to help him, and we all understand that. But to say that he has a master plan that is irrevocable, that is infallible, and that's going to fix everything, when he can't even get rid of Muller, when he can't even get anybody in there to help him, oh, that's all happening where nobody can see it. Really? So, who expelled the Russians and why? This military budget, everybody was saying, oh, they're talking about it now. And in my presentations last few days on that, I've said the same thing. I didn't talk about the wall because the wall isn't important to me. I find it to be kind of absurd, actually. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I did make a video back in 2011, and I talked about this the other day. It's called, and you can look at it, you can see it on this channel. It's on this channel. It's called Borders, Mexican Drug War, or Insurgency. And I talk about the border. I'm right down on the border. I'm showing you the fence. I'm showing you how you can come and go. And I'm pointing out towards the end when I'm at Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge, which was a good portion of it was shut off to Americans because of the supposed dangers. Well, there were some other things going on there. The National Guard was there. But I pointed out that that border needs to be secure and that the military can do it and not violate posse comitatus despite what there was some major at the time was saying, no, that would violate posse comitatus. No! That's not enforcing civilian laws. That's enforcing federal law and protecting our borders. That's what the military is supposed to do. They're all brainwashed. They're all parrots that just say what they're told to say. And I went through the Army course on dealing with the media, and I'll just tell you, it's lies. It's to help you lie. Of course, they'll say, well, it's to give our take on what's going on. No, okay, let's just cut to the chase. It's about lying. That's what it's about. Man, I can't believe I was involved in that stuff. So anyway, this video, this documentary I did, Borders, Mexican Drug War, or Insurgency, it tells you that my answer to the border isn't even a wall. The wall helps, but it's to get military on the border to actually do the job. But no, you know why that's not going to be allowed? You know why Trump's not going to be allowed to do that, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know why? Because it'll take money from the military-industrial complex they want to use in foreign entanglements, in regime change, in forcing other nations to come into the IMF, into the World Bank, and into the monetary system, and to seize resources, etc., etc. They're not going to let him do it unless he forces it. So don't hold your breath. The other thing, a wall. Oh, the Corps of Engineers is going to take care of it. You know, that evidence that was put out here a while back, a few days ago. Oh, the Corps of Engineers, you know, the Green Castle, right? They're going to take care of it. Green Castle, Indiana? I was the security officer for the law enforcement security officer for the Army Corps of Engineers out of the Chicago district. Oh, yeah, right. The Corps of Engineers has been working on that for longer than just being put on it now. And look how far it's gotten. Another issue that I bring up in that video. A barrier is not any good unless you have eyes on it, unless you have surveillance on it. I don't care how high you make it, how deep in the ground it goes, how thick it is, its configuration. No barrier is going to work unless you have eyes on it, surveillance, constantly. So it's not the answer. Plus, my concern was, you know, we need to take care of the social problem. You know, we offer all of these social programs for non-citizens, which brings them here. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, good people can't come here and work. That's not the point. But it draws people who have no intention of working. And then, of course, we've got the problem with the drug cartels, the Zetas, the Sinaloa, you know, et cetera, et cetera. That, you know, just canceling the social programs won't help us because they're coming over here to do these things at the behest, by the way, if you hadn't remembered, the CIA, right, and the FBI, and the ATF, right, the DEA. They're the biggest drug pushers in the world. That's another thing. President Trump says, oh, we're going to offer the death penalty for drug pushers, drug dealers. Well, Mr. President and Mr. Sessions, you better start with the CIA and the DEA and the FBI, etc. Deflection. Well, oh, he can't tell the truth. He can't tell the truth because it'll upset too many people. We're going down, ladies and gentlemen. If things don't change, we're going down. So anyway, my point on the wall is, I'm not against the wall. I just don't see, you know, last week was not my point in talking about it at that point. I was concerned about other things. The wall's, it's got its pluses and its minuses, but to think that the military-industrial complex is going to allow any of its money in this omnibus to be taken away from it for that, well, okay, we'll see. Okay, we'll know. But they've already told him he can't use the prototypes that he's built. So now what? I could go on and on. Do you see? That's all I want you to do is I just want you to think that there's some other things that you need to look at here, that you can't just swallow this hook, line, and sinker. I don't care who says it. Even me. I don't even want you to believe me. But you can't just believe the nonsense you're being told when it doesn't match up on the ground. You just can't. You got to look at it more. I hope Trump can do the wall. I hope he can convince Mattis and the bureaucracy in the DOD and in the CIA, etc., to use that money for securing our border. But I wouldn't hold my breath. They're expelling Russians, right, over no evidence. Actually, evidence to the contrary. There's evidence to the contrary on this poisoning with Novichok of Sergei Skripal. Did I say his name right? Yeah. So all I'm saying is you better keep your wits about you. You better keep your eyes on the horizon and your ears to the ground, your situational awareness. And Hold your politicians' feet to the fire. You know, I can't stand Ryan and McConnell. Obviously, they've subverted the intent that President Trump had. Obviously. I know the system is working against him, which is really, in essence, working against us. I know that. But, wow. Yeah, he's had his family threatened, no doubt. And there are a lot of other things. But we're going into this, as Cernovich said, Mike Cernovich, we're going into these midterm elections and the Democrats are going to take over. And it's going to lose now anyway because too many Republicans, maybe not us. I'd still vote for Trump. I'd still vote for Republicans. What good it does, I don't know. But trying to give him the tools to get forward. But does it really matter? The left-right paradigm is a lie. We all know that, and yet we keep thinking it's going to work. We're a decadent, deceitful, wicked, evil society. Even the best of us are. God is giving us what we want. Send us strong delusion that we believe a lie. Yeah. So, no, I might be a steady anchor, or my friend might want me to be a steady anchor and take this responsibility to buoy people up and to give you all, you know, hope and leadership and all that. I'm not sure that's my job. My job that I started on YouTube back in 2009 was to try to be a voice to open eyes and ears. You can decide whether it's truth or not. I won't decide that for you. But you got to open up your eyes and ears. That's my job, and it's not a pleasant one. You know, the prophet, there are other scriptures, right? They killed the prophets for telling the truth. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, although at the same time, the Spirit of Christ is the Spirit of prophecy, and deny that you have the Spirit of prophecy is to deny Christ. So, you know, you're in a catch-22 there. But, you know, they killed the prophets, and then it says, you know, the ancient, he is the head, and the prophet that telleth lies, he is the tail. So I can't mince my words. I don't care what the trolls say. I don't care what anybody says. Even my best friend. We're in an awful situation. And to try to sugarcoat it would be a disservice to you and an insult to God. I won't do it. Chat room, let's see what we got going on here. You know, somebody says here, John Van, the CIA, they are dead, executed. How can you say you did not execute drug dealers? You're missing the point. You're missing the point. Am I wasting my time? Am I wasting my time? What is the largest drug dealer in the world? The United States of America's intelligence services. Where has he dismantled the CIA? Yeah, Trump bombed the Afghan drug things. Yeah, he did. He did. He's trying to do that. I'm not saying he isn't. Has he succeeded? Has he shut down those things? No. And to think that he has, and that everything is going according to plan, is dangerous to think like that. To have blind faith in a plan, in a person, in anything, is foolishness. In the military, you guys, ladies too, unfortunately, I don't like ladies in the military for lots of reasons. People know my feelings on that. That's another corruption. that they fostered on us with this no male or female crap interpretation, PC, political correctness. Well, I'm not really stumbling here. I'm just, I guess I really am disgusted. Because so many of you are so good. You're trying so hard. We all are. The good people are all trying so hard. And I appreciate you being here and listening to these things. Because they do come from my heart. And they do come from my experience. Am I going to change the world? I have no delusions or illusions of grandeur. No, I didn't do it for that reason. I don't think I'm going to change a damn thing. Maybe one or two hearts, maybe. Of course, it looks like I turn a lot of them the other way too. But if you love God, if you have the Spirit of Christ in you, which is really what taking the name of Jesus Christ on you means, is that you become more like Him. In the ancient times, when you took a name onto yourself, it was that you become that entity, that person. If not in philosophy, if not in reality, in philosophy. But I won't even try to explain that to you. But it's evident right there for you to read. That's the idea of taking the name of somebody upon yourself. No, it's not blasphemy. And I've talked about that before, and I won't go there today. But at any rate, a lot of you good people out there, and I hope that the things that I talk about are worthwhile for you, that you understand that we do need to pray. We do need to have a consciousness of our awful situation, and that really our only hope in the end, as many of you say to me all the time, is God. But what does that mean? That means that we have to take that mind of God into our hearts and minds. It tells us to do that. That's that part of taking the name upon yourself. Will there be many of us? Apparently not. And can we judge saying, oh, I'm going to make it? I'm going to make it? Well, I'm not saying that. I don't know how I'm going to make it. Hell, I'm fooled every day. Especially in my private life, my personal life. Well, it sucks. I'll just be honest about that. People aren't what they appear to be, and then they want to hold you to a standard that they can't even hold up to themselves. It's really a joke, actually. It's funny as hell. Now, it looks like I stopped the chat, and I didn't mean to do that. Let's see why I did that. I guess I got it going again. Yeah, here you are, Martin De Beer. If God didn't shorten those days, there would be no flesh left. Yeah, that's right. And that's what they want, right? They want to turn us into these clay, these automatons that are a fusion of machines and flesh. In other words, in those days there will be few men left. That's basically the same thing. They're trying to destroy the creation and recreate it in their image, not in God's. And it's a lot to do with a misinterpretation of what God says. Deliberately, they've done that. Or maybe it's wrong in there. Okay. Thank you all for the encouragement. I see a lot of you there saying, good, Roy, thanks, appreciate it. Would I run for office? Sean, Sam McPeak, would I run for office? That would not work. I did that once. I ran for sheriff of Salt Lake County back in '86. You have to understand that this political system is dead. It's set up now to where it will never, ever be turned around. If a man like Trump, who I have immense respect and love for, if he can't do it, you think I can? No, we're going to have to do what Stefan Molyneux said. We're going to have to surround ourselves with like-minded people, very close-in groups where we can help each other, because that's all we're going to have. They're going to turn this thing on its head. When those Russian diplomats got expelled yesterday or this morning, whenever it happened, I knew that Trump was not in control. I don't care what anybody tells you. And he keeps throwing away people that can help him. I love the guy. I really, really do. But he's a drowning man. He's flailing in the water trying to stay afloat. He can't even worry about helping anybody else. Is the economy important? Yes, but it's not the end all. The economy is a distraction to our hearts and minds, thinking that things are what we need to be happy and secure. No. Principle, standing up for principle, what's true. Telling the truth. My friend the other day, I said, sorry, I'm really nasal. My friend said the other day, Roy, he can't tell the truth about the Parkland shooting. They'd get him on the 25th Amendment right there. Pardon me a minute. Oh, brother. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, I'm still pretty sick. You know what this reminds me of? Because I told myself, I'm not going to do that on air. That's disgusting. When I was a youngster, when I was in first grade, there was this television show back in D.C. called the Pick Temple Show. It's about he dressed up as a cowboy, he played the guitar, he had a horse and a dog, and the kids would go in there and they'd play these games. And I really wanted to get on his show. And my first grade teacher, they were actually going to the zoo. I finally got on the show. I was told I was going to be on the show, and my first grade teacher says, well, what do you want to do, Roy? We're going to go to the zoo that day. Do you want to go to the zoo or do you want to go to Pick Temple? Well, of course, I'm going to go to Pick Temple, right? Well, one of the games that they had that I figured I might be able to play, if I was lucky, was this game where it's a relay race with milk cartons. They'd use these little, small milk cartons that you have, in grade school, you drink at lunch. I don't know if they still do these days or not. They probably give them soft drinks. But I watched these relays on TV, and they'd have the milk cartons on this side, like this, and you'd line up over here, and then you'd race, and you'd have to bring the cartons over to this side and restack them the way you get them from that side. And every once in a while, a kid would slide on the floor and knock all of his cartons down. I said, oh, I'll never do that. I'm going to make sure I don't do that. Well, guess what? I was selected to do the relay with the milk cartons. And I sure as heck, I knocked over my stack of cartons on the other side. Just exactly what I said I wouldn't do. Things don't always work out the way you plan. It's just kind of funny. All right, well, we've been going for an hour here, and I'm sorry. I wanted to use the chat room a little bit more. Bandar Bush killed himself, 0 coverage. Really? Huh. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. There's 0 coverage on that off-duty, or I guess he was the school deputy there in Maryland that, took out that shooter there. I wonder if that shooter's father is an FBI informant. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. These people are everywhere. The entire IC needs to be freaking cleaned out. We need to back in the military intelligence group in the Army, in the DOD. That's a problem. But the CIA, the FBI, the DIA, all of those agencies, they need to be wiped out clean and start all over again. No, I don't think the Russians did the Challenger. I don't think that's true. No, I don't. No, the Russians, there's some things that they'll do, and there's most. First of all, they can't do some of the things that we keep blaming them for. Russia's economy is not even as strong as that of the state of California. Are you kidding me? Their military is to be reckoned with because they don't lower the standards for their troops like we do so that we're politically correct. Yeah. Amber Elstein, we are not powerless. That's true, Amber, but it depends also on who you trust. Rhetoric isn't If the rhetoric doesn't match the action on the ground, you may not be powerless, but you have to be able to recognize who is and who isn't. Yeah, Bandar Bush was the Saudi prince. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, but you know, that was an internal thing in the Saudis, right? And I'm not certain that it's what it appears to be either. There's some problems with this whole thing, which I'm not going to get into here, other than to say that things are hardly ever what they appear to be. I've told you before, in roundabout terms, that the people that run the Zionist organization, that run the state of Israel, are the exact same people that are the Saudi Arabians. They're the same bloodline. They're the same people. It's a false left-right paradigm. It's tension. It's so that they can. I mean, when was the last time Saudi Arabia fought Israel? Anybody tell me? I'll wait for the information here. Last time that the Saudis and the Israelis shot at each other, let me know. Tell me, okay? I'll wait. Okay, let's see. Is there anything else here? You know, I don't know. Yeah, anybody, you know, somebody's asking, what about a march on the Georgia Guidestones? I don't know if you get any coverage doing that. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. You know, my mantra has been prep, pray, stay out of the way. It's keep your situational awareness. Keep your eyes on the horizon and your ears to the ground. I'm not certain it's our job to fix this. I think it's our job to recognize what it truly is and to refuse to take part in it, which is going to be tough because everything is designed to keep you under their control. Everything. So, who's on the Lord's side? Who is on the Lord's side? Are we willing to call truth what it is and falsehood what it is? Or are we willing to call evil good and good evil? Or are we going to stand up and say no? And what is the punishment going to be that's lowered upon us who try to do the right thing? What is the punishment that this system is going to lower on us for doing that? Instead of holding the people accountable who did the Las Vegas shooting, who happen to be members of our intelligence community and others, along with Antifa and ISIS, Trump goes after bump stocks. If we continue to play the political ping pong, bing, 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 bong, bong, remember that? If we keep playing the political ping pong that we've been allowed, that has been allowed to be played for the last 60 years, there is no change coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's just going to get worse. As we go to sleep believing that it's all taken care of, we're going to wake up one morning and there'll be a lot of trouble. So, marching on the Georgia Guidestones, great. I don't know how much coverage you get. I think what we need to do, most people wouldn't understand what that is. You'd probably be wasting your time. Tracy Beans is part of the organization that's doing this march in D.C. on April 7th or 4th, somewhere in there. You'd have to go look it up. I keep meaning to give you the information. Even that's going to probably not have a lot of impact, but that would have more impact than going on the Georgia Guidestones. So if you want to do something, look at this thing that Tracy Beans is putting together. She's on YouTube and she's on Twitter. Get a hold of her and look at her information about when this march is going to be in D.C. If you want to put your effort into something, that would probably be the best one. And you can organize it across the country. Go to the state capitals the same time that she's doing the march in D.C. I think that would be more effective. So you gotta understand what the what it looks like. That's important, and that's why you need to choose wisely on what you're going to do. Okay, radicus, COG. Anyone that denies the scripture denies the truth. Be careful with that. Be careful with that. Because even Jesus said, what are you going to do with this one, sir? Or lady, I don't know what you are. All manner of blasphemy will be forgiven unto man, even blasphemy against the Son of Man. What are you going to do with that one? That's a good question, Adam Little. Do I think the false flag in the UK with the Russians, the poisoning there, is a way to stop the Brexit? Well, the Russians have been used as a reason to do a lot of things, right? The threat of the Russians, the whole Cold War. All of this is designed, and this is why I'll say it again this way. The Cold War, the military-industrial complex, the IC, the New World Order, the Deep State, all of that, they have to have these conflicts so that they can get the money for the weapons systems and all of that. That's their cash cow. And then it has the double purpose of creating sacrifice to the god Moloch. To sacrifice thousands, millions, billions of innocent men, women, and children to their god in the name of some liberating military action or whatever. It's a lie. It's been a lie for a long time. So, Britain trying to get out of the EU, the United States getting out of the TPP. Yeah. The minute they get, everybody says, look at everything Trump has done. Well, the minute they get rid of Trump, and it could happen real soon, all of that goes away, ladies and gentlemen. They'll reverse course in a day. The United States will be destroyed, burned in a day. Does that sound familiar? Allegorical to some extent, but that's what can happen. So all of these things are designed to accomplish those purposes in the New World Order and the Deep State. No, Trump is not in control. I wish that he would, but, and I brought up the situation with Saul the other day. Saul was the anointed king of Israel. He was jealous of David, who was going to become the next king. He was jealous of him, causing him all kinds of trouble, which was a problem for Saul. But Saul refused to kill the enemies of Israel, all of them. They were on the battlefield, and God, through the prophet Nathan, told him, hey, or Samuel, I guess it was. Actually, I'm not sure at this point. I think it was Samuel. Yeah. Said you got to take care of you got to kill all those people. They're going to kill your people if you don't. That's the only thing you got left. And Saul didn't do that. Some of them were his friends, especially the king, remember? So Saul didn't do that. Saul didn't take out the evil. And God told him, you've lost everything. You've lost your throne, you've lost your family, everything that you have, because you disobeyed me, because you've put my people in danger. You agreed, if I put you in power, that you would do these things that I asked you to do, that you agreed to do. And Saul backed out on it. And then David was told, when he did this thing with Bathsheba later, he was told by God through Nathan the prophet, hey, I gave you everything. I gave you the throne of Israel. I gave you, I gave you Saul's wives, his houses, his belongings. Everything that Saul had, I gave to you. And if that had not been enough, I would have given you more if you had just asked. You didn't have to go kill Uriah to steal his wife. I'd have given you more women if you wanted. Saul's wives, whatever. President Trump, you don't do this. You don't go after these wicked people, these evil people in the deep state. I know it takes time. I know it's an effort. But you have to find a way to do it. You agreed to do that. You have to do it. And if you don't, you'll be removed like Saul was. Except this time we're not going to get a David. No. Who's saying Tracy Beanz sold out? Who said that? Why? Because she's gone in and she's talking about things that are happening in the world instead of, well, no. Tracy Beanz is a solid investigative reporter, and she has a good heart. So whoever's saying Tracy Beanz sold out, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. It's so easy to accuse somebody if they are not addressing the issues you want to be addressed. You can't do everything. Remember I told, in the military, you can't, the general's supposed to look at the whole battlefield, but when you're out engaged, decisively engaged, you're given a lane because you can't do it all. You're given a specific mission. You're given a lane, and you watch your lane. As long as they're doing something positive, they're watching their lane. They can't do everything. What are you doing? You're going to sit here and you're going to accuse Tracy Beanz of selling out? What are you doing? Commenting on the chat room? You think that's action? Whoever that was that attacked Tracy just now? That's damnable. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Tracy Beanz is the spirit of Satan. Know the accuser by what they accuse you of. Okay, I'll send that back to you. This isn't a satanic sign. It's a one of those U's. It comes in this side and comes back out at you. Gosh dang. Talk about the SES. Yeah, there's been enough of that. There's a deep state. Okay, and and Obama is the shadow government president. That's really all we need to do. And it's a war. And unfortunately, Trump has to deal with it as a war. He can't deal with it politically anymore. War is politics by other means, and I know that, okay? I'm not stupid. But what I'm saying is he can't do the talk anymore. He has to act. And how long have I been saying that? Is that going to be a problem? Will they, like on this thing with telling the truth about the Parkland shooting, which my friend said, no, Roy, you can't do that. They'll call him insane. They'll boot him out under the 25th Amendment. This is war. Yeah, we have to step, easily and carry. What was that Theodore Roosevelt said? Well, walk softly, but carry a big stick. Okay, but where's the big stick? We need to see it. The economy can be turned off in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. No matter what Trump does. The economy is not the barometer, pardon me, of how well we're doing, of MAGA. It's not. It's a very small part and probably the most insignificant part. Okay, sorry. Willie Waterberg says, Tracy is great, but Q puzzles are wearing thin. We need real arrests and actions. In that regard, that's true. You know how I feel about Q. At least you should. I don't follow it anymore. I agree with that 100%. Keeping us busy with puzzles, that's really what I'm referring to with the blinders on. I know some other information there about the Q thing, which is the reason why I've dropped it. I don't care how accurate it looks or what kind of inside information it is. I have become aware of the Twitter keys and of an MI6 associated company that has a social engineering appliance, predictive appliance, and it's all involved. So yeah, there's another guy who says that it's AI. Well, not exactly, but I understand where he's coming from. Quentin Michael or something like that. Q at first was a team, but they disappeared from the scene some time ago, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, regardless, Q is still a good way to talk. I mean, it's really no different than listening to the MSM or trying to get your information from other sources. That's a good thing. I won't put down anybody, call any names, like saying that she's satanic, like Tracy Beans is satanic. No. You got to stop doing that juvenile name-calling, rock throwing. That's ridiculous. And I'm not talking the last person. I'm talking about the one before that. But anyway, Q is still a method to talk about the subject matter. It does that. But you just got to make sure that you don't get your sights off, your eyes off of other things that are going on. Q is designed to get you to look at just really one set of things. And where's the information about the Russians being booted? I guess that'll show up now that I mention it. I'll go, oh yeah, we better do that. Who that were running that? Oh, we better do that. Yeah, we better put a little thing in here about that or whatever. I was sent some stuff yesterday. There are people out there that are saying a lot of crazy things about my attitude towards that. Most of you are probably aware of it. Yeah, Quinn Michaels talks about the quantum PC Tyler. Thank you. That's right. That's right. Now, Tyler could be another aspect of it. I've not actually paid a whole lot of attention to Quinn Michaels. Not that I have any disrespect for him, because I don't. We have to look at all these possibilities. But a very, very competent investigator has looked into this thing from MI6 over in Britain. And again, here we are again. MI6 was involved, as I said, with this whole thing with the poisoning of the Russians and all that. And now Trump acts on it and throws out the diplomats, the Russian diplomats. MI6 looks like it might have some connections to Q. I'll just leave that for your perusal. You're not part of the Q cult? Nope. I'm sucking Lynn? Nope, I'm not. It has its place. It's good discussion. It's waking people up, but it's too much of a distraction. It's too much of blinders. A troll said that, Roy. Oh yeah, Gordon, I know. I understand. So I don't mean to attack anybody here. Yeah, I got out of that a long time ago. I got a little upset at that one guy there, but yeah, most of these, and that's another thing about the chat room. I really need a moderator if I'm going to do that. So it's hard to keep track of all this. Okay, yeah. If Trump wants to save the base, he better arrest people fast. I think everybody's waking up to that. This move on the Russians, I keep hammering on it, but this is not a good sign, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those red flag, red light flashing siren moments. When I see Trump act on that kind of information, I don't like it, because it tells me he's got his sights on the entirely the wrong deal. Lionel says he doesn't know what he's doing. I didn't say that. I mean, I know he's learning. He's in that learning curve. At least I hope that's all it is. But Lionel just comes right out and says he doesn't know what he's doing. He's acting schizophrenic. He does something and then he backtracks and then he turns that around and nothing's being consistent. He keeps throwing people away. That's Lionel saying that. And I know Lionel loves Trump to pieces, but Lionel's also very intelligent, and he sees a lot of the same things, probably a lot more than I do. Yeah, John Bolton. Yeah, murdering 500 children in Iraq. Yeah, essentially that. John Bolton would kill off the whole world for American hegemony. That's wrong. That's wrong. Yeah, I hope he gets rid of the Hamas Muslim Brotherhood infiltrators in the White House and in the government. I hope he does. But I don't think that's his real purpose. The way you judge a person is by what they've done prior. Past performance is the best indicator of future performance. John Bolton likes killing people in the name of American hegemony. Not even as defense. It's not a good sign. I'm sorry, it's not. Did I like McMaster? No, because McMaster was a problem. Absolutely. But why replace a frying pan with a, what does that say? You know, the pot calling the kettle black. Oh, Trump's going to milk him for what he needs out of him and then boot him later. All right. Lionel loves Lionel. Hey, you got to love yourself. You know, if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. Iran and Turkey. Well, there we go, right? Now we have the axis of evil of Iran. Well, actually, it's more than that. Iran, Turkey. Turkey's a problem. You know, they got together, and but you got. I'm gonna change the subject just slightly here. People forget that the United States has been the aggressor now in the world for years. A lot of the kickback, and I didn't like the Soviet Union, of course not, but a lot of the reason why these nations stood up against us the way they did is because of what we were doing. Our military-industrial complex, starting wars over lies like the Gulf of Tonkin, like the unseating of Mossadegh in Iran back in the 50s and putting the Shah of Iran in. You see, well, and worse things than that. That's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, we fund ISIS, and then Russia tries to fight ISIS, and then we bomb Russians for fighting ISIS. Do you see how evil our governmental system is and what it's really about? Of course, these people are going to make alliances to try to protect themselves from that. If you see ISIS or Antifa, let's just say Antifa, coming into your neighborhood, and you don't get along with your friend over here, your neighbor, but you both have a reason now to defend each other because Antifa's coming down the street to take baseball bats or guns or fire to you, are you going to band up to prevent that? Of course. And we've forced those alliances around the world. It's the false left-right paradigm, the Hegelian dialectic, all of that. And our government, the Western powers, particularly Britain and Germany and the United States, are responsible for this, but mostly the United States. Just the way it is. Trump said at the beginning, remember, that's what he ran on. He's not going to be involved in regime change anymore. He's not going to be involved in these foreign wars anymore. Really? Let's see. Somebody said they met me at the Detain McCain thing. Let me go back to that. Jason Topa. Roy, I met you at Detain McCain. You are a true patriot. Yeah, you can't please everybody all the time. That was very nice of you to say that. And no, I do. I love I love the constitutional republic of the United States. I understand how it was put together to match the perfect law of liberty, which the gospel was about, which James described the gospel as being the perfect law of liberty. I see that in there. It's not perfect because it's a construction of man, but it was inspired by men. It was inspired by God to men who saw that things needed to change, that we couldn't keep running the system the way it had been for thousands of years. It was an attempt to change that. But as other historians have pointed out, we're not a democracy, okay, but they'll call it that. But these types of governmental systems don't usually last longer than 200 or 250 years because of the corruption. And I think it was Benjamin Franklin that said it, and pardon me if it wasn't Benjamin Franklin. No, it wasn't Franklin. Franklin said he was asked supposedly by a lady, what kind of government do we have? Well, a republic if you can keep it. There was that one, but then there was somebody else who said, and right now it's escaping me who said it, that it was probably John Adams, that this constitutional republic is designed for a spiritual and righteous people. It's wholly unworthy to any, or it's wholly unworkable for any other type of people. And we are a wicked nation. No, we're even worse than that. We're an evil nation now. And you can't blame people for trying to defend themselves against us. Like I said, getting their neighbors and saying, look at this thing over here, it's going to gobble the world up unless we get together. We're causing these things. We should be a light to the world, right? We should be an example. Project force as we need to protect our people and our interests to some extent, but it's gone overboard. And you've all heard me say that before. All right, geez, an hour and a half. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Lionel is coming on live in 15 minutes, as is InfoWars. So I'm going to get off. Thank you for coming. I hope I've explained why I would love to be the anchor and encourage people rather than give them bad news all the time. But I try to couch it in a way that you see that we can look forward. If we respond to this thing correctly, we can look forward to some great things in the future. But it's going to be bad until then, and we're seeing it slowly descend into this really bad mess very quickly. And if I didn't tell it that way to you, I'd be lying to you. And I just won't do that. I just won't. But thank you for coming. I appreciate everything, all the good. Actually, I haven't watched I tried to watch the chat room. There's been a lot of positive stuff here today. There have been a few trolls that I've seen, and I've addressed one or two of them. I like to do that so that they know that they're not really making a difference. But most of you there are saying some wonderful things, and I appreciate that. I don't look for accolades and pats on the back, but if I get them, that's nice. Okay. All right. God bless you and yours. God bless you that you will be given the gift of discernment, see truth from error, that guile will flee from your lips, and the hearing of blood from your ears. God bless the... I always get choked up on this one. The coughing doesn't help either. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the restoration of that through the Second American Revolution. God bless those things. God help us. God help us. And God bless President Donald J. Trump, that his family will be protected, that he will be protected, that he will be given the discernment to see the way and not turn from it, and that he will be blessed in all of his righteous endeavors. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground. Pray, stay out of the way. I'll go cough some more. Out here. Thanks a lot.